The city skyline glittered beneath the early morning haze as I stood by the window of my office, fingers grazing the rim of my coffee mug. My reflection stared back at me, calm, composed, a woman who'd built her life out of the ruins no one believed she could survive. The faint hum of the air conditioner mixed with the low buzz of my phone vibrating on the desk. Another campaign season. Another headline. Another photo of my parents shaking hands, smiling that politicians smile. The same smile they wore the night they told me to leave their house. The notification flashing on my screen made my stomach tighten. Senator Jonathan Hale announces family-centered values as cornerstone of campaign. I almost laughed. The irony was bitter, but not surprising. Family-centered. From the man who'd turned his back on his own daughter when she needed him most. I took a slow breath, pressing my fingers to the silk at my collar. The fabric felt cool against my skin, grounding me. 15 years had passed, but the sting lingered. Not sharp anymore, just a quiet scar beneath the surface. Then my assistant's voice broke through the speaker. Ms. Hale, you've received an invitation. It's from your father's campaign team. They're requesting your presence at the kickoff gala this Friday. For a long moment I said nothing. Just the sound of my heartbeat, steady and controlled, echoing in the silence. Well, I murmured finally, a faint smile touching my lips. Looks like it's time they remembered who their daughter is. I was 19 when my world collapsed in the most ordinary kitchen in America. The scent of my mother's lavender candles mixed with the sharp tang of my father's aftershave. It's strange what your mind remembers when everything else is falling apart. He sat at the table, the letter from my college clutched in his hand like evidence of a crime. You've brought shame on this family, Emily, he said, his voice clipped and precise, the same tone he used at press conferences. My mother stood behind him, silent, her face pale, eyes glassy. I'm pregnant, Dad. Not a criminal. My voice cracked, but I kept my chin high. He slammed his hand down. Do you have any idea what this will do to my career? To our name? That word, our, hit harder than anything. It meant his reputation, not our family.
Not me.
When I looked at my mother, hoping for softness, she turned away. You've disappointed us, Emily. You'll have to figure this out on your own. My breath caught. You're kicking me out? No one answered. My father just folded the letter, neat and cold, as if he were closing a case file. I remember packing a duffel bag that night, jeans, notebooks, the tiny silver locket Grandma Rose had given me before she passed. Inside it was a note she'd written when I was 13. When the world stops believing in you, keep believing in yourself. That locket was the only thing that didn't feel temporary. I slept in my car for 2 nights before I found a shelter that took young women. They smelled like bleach and baby powder, but at least it was safe. Every time I touched that locket, I felt her with me, reminding me that my story wasn't over. On my 3rd night there, I wrote my first goal in a cheap spiral notebook. Provide for my child. Build a life no one can take away. I didn't know how or when. But as I closed my eyes in that cramped cot, I made myself a promise. One day, they'd see me again. Not as a mistake, but as the woman who made it without them. The first year was survival, nothing more. I worked double shifts at a diner in downtown Atlanta, my belly growing heavier with each month. The smell of grease clung to my clothes, my feet ached, but every tip I earned went into a coffee tin I kept hidden under the sink in my rented room. When my daughter, Lily, was born, I thought my heart might split open. She was so tiny, so perfect, her little fingers curling around mine as if promising me that somehow we'd be okay. But reality came fast, medical bills, formula, rent. There were nights when dinner was ramen and tap water, and I'd whisper lullabies to keep her from hearing my stomach growl. Then came a turning point I'll never forget. A customer at the diner, a woman named Margaret Ellis, always ordered the same. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. She was sharp, elegant, and intimidating in a way that made people step aside. One night, she left me a $100 tip and a business card. You have potential, Emily, she said, her voice smooth but firm. You're wasting it here. Come see me. She ran a small marketing agency, and when I showed up, nervous, underdressed, clutching my resume like a lifeline. She didn't ask about my past. She asked what I wanted. I want to give my daughter a better life, I said simply. She smiled. Then let's start there. Under Margaret's mentorship, I learned everything: branding, negotiation, leadership. She taught me how to read people, how power moved in a room, how to hold your silence until it meant something. I worked during the day, studied at night, and built my portfolio from the ground up. By the time Lily started preschool, I'd saved enough to open a small digital agency of my own. I named it Silverline Media, after the locket Grandma Rose gave me, a reminder that even clouds had silver edges. Success didn't come overnight. Clients doubted me, dismissed me, ghosted me. But slowly, word spread. I landed a real estate firm, then a tech startup. My designs began appearing on billboards and websites across the state. And every time I wanted to post something big online, a milestone, an award, I stopped myself. My parents didn't need to know. The same people who told the world their daughter had disgraced the family would never get the satisfaction of claiming my victories. Lily grew up watching me build everything from scratch. She saw the nights I cried quietly over failed pitches, the mornings I faced clients with red eyes and perfect lipstick. She never heard me speak my parents' names. One evening, as I tucked her in, she whispered, "Mommy, are you proud of me?" I smiled, brushing her hair off her forehead. "More than anything, sweetheart. You're the reason I never gave up." She smiled sleepily. "Then I'm proud of you too." In that moment, I realized I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was building an empire from the ashes they left me in. The night of the gala felt like stepping into another lifetime, one I had long buried under ambition and quiet resolve. The event was held at the Rutherford Grand Hotel, a chandeliered palace of politics and pretense. Every table sparkled with silverware, every smile glinted with hidden agendas. My assistant, Mia, handed me a glass of champagne as we waited by the entrance. "You sure about this?" she whispered. I gave a small, steady nod. "They invited me. I'm just accepting." My name, Emily Hale, was announced through the speakers, and for a moment, heads turned, polite curiosity, mild recognition. Then, at the far end of the ballroom, I saw them, my parents. Senator Jonathan Hale, all charm and control, shaking hands with donors. Beside him, my mother, Elaine, draped in pearls, her smile practiced and immaculate. They hadn't seen me yet. I crossed the room slowly, heels clicking against marble, my gown catching the light like liquid steel. When my father finally noticed me, the color drained from his face. "Emily," he breathed, disbelief cracking his composure. "Hello, Dad," I said softly, my smile poised but unyielding. My mother's eyes widened. We didn't expect." "No," I interrupted gently. "You didn't." They ushered me to a quieter corner. My father's voice dropped. "This isn't the place for surprises. We're launching my campaign tonight. The press." "Relax," I said, taking a sip of champagne. "I'm not here to ruin your evening. Not yet." He froze. My mother's fingers trembled slightly around her clutch. "Not yet," she repeated. I leaned closer, my voice calm, measured. "Your team reached out to partner with Silverline Media for your digital campaign. Apparently, your people didn't realize the company's owner was your disgrace of a daughter." The silence between us was thick enough to drown in. My father cleared his throat. "That's impossible. Silverline is mine," I finished. "Build it from the ground up. 10 years of work, thousands of clients, and more reach than your PR team could dream of." My mother blinked rapidly. "You're successful?" The words sounded foreign in her mouth, as if she couldn't reconcile it with the girl she'd cast out. I smiled faintly. "More than you'd ever imagine." He straightened his tie, regaining a hint of control. "Emily, this doesn't have to be ugly. If you'd like to quietly support the campaign, we can discuss compensation." I laughed softly, the kind of laugh that makes people nervous. "You still think everything's a transaction, don't you?" He stiffened. "You don't understand politics." "No," I said, setting my glass down. "I understand truth. And image." And hypocrisy. You've built your entire platform on family values, Dad. But the truth is, you disowned your daughter for being human, for being young, for not fitting the mold. He went pale. My mother's lip trembled. Please, Emily, she whispered. Not here. Oh, don't worry, I said, meeting both their eyes. I'm not here to humiliate you. I'm here to make sure you finally face the woman you erased. My father tried to hold my gaze, but there was fear there, not of me, but of exposure, of consequences. I leaned back, voice steady. If I wanted to destroy your campaign, I could. But that's not what I came for. You'll see what I have planned soon enough. As I turned to leave, I could feel the weight of every eye in the room. Some recognized me. Some just saw the tension. But my parents, they saw the ghost they'd buried come back wearing heels and power. When I reached the exit, my father called after me. Emily, wait. I didn't. Some stories don't need permission to be rewritten. The following morning, the news broke, not because of me, but because of truth finally catching up to the Hales. A journalist from the Atlanta Post had uncovered inconsistencies in my father's family values narrative. Photos of him and my mother at the gala appeared online, and in one frame, I stood beside them, the long-lost daughter they'd conveniently omitted from every speech, every campaign bio, every voter outreach ad. The internet did the rest. By noon, hashtags were trending. Hashtag the forgotten Hale, hashtag family values exposed, hashtag Emily speaks. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, but I ignored every call except one from my father. When I finally picked up, his voice was tight, weary. Emily, we need to talk. I agreed to meet him and my mother at my office that evening. If they wanted to see who I'd become, I'd let them. The elevator doors opened to the 28th floor of Silverline Media, and I watched their faces shift from arrogance to awe. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city skyline. Modern art lined the walls, and a soft scent of vanilla and cedar filled the air. This is yours, my mother whispered. Yes, I said simply, gesturing toward the conference table. Have a seat. My father tried to recover his composure, his politician's mask slipping back into place. We can fix this, Emily. We'll release a joint statement. Say we've reconciled as a family. It'll show unity, redemption. People love that kind of thing. I smiled, calm, composed, dangerous in my stillness. You want me to save your campaign? He hesitated. In a manner of speaking, I leaned forward, fingers laced together. Then here are my conditions. He blinked. Conditions? Yes, I said. You'll publicly acknowledge what you did, that you kicked your daughter out at 19 for being pregnant. You'll use your platform to support single mothers and fund housing programs for women like me. And you'll make a personal donation to the Rose Foundation, the nonprofit I founded for young mothers. My mother's eyes softened with shame. The Rose Foundation named after your grandmother? I nodded. The only person who never judged me. My father's jaw clenched. You're asking me to destroy my own reputation. I met his gaze evenly.
No, Dad.
I'm giving you a chance to rebuild it, with honesty this time. He looked down, silence stretching between us. For once, he wasn't the senator or the man in control. He was just a father who'd failed. My mother reached across the table, her voice trembling. Emily, I'm sorry.
For everything.
I should have protected you. I wanted to stay stone cold, but something in her voice cracked the armor I'd built. You can still make it right, I said softly. But not with words. With actions. For a long moment, none of us spoke. The city lights shimmered outside, and I could see our reflections in the glass, a family fractured, but maybe not irreparable. Finally, my father exhaled. We'll do it. All of it. I nodded once. Then maybe, just maybe, we'll have something worth saving. Weeks later, the world began to shift. Headlines changed tone. My father's public apology aired on national television, sincere, unpolished, almost human. He admitted to his past, to his mistakes, to choosing image over love. My mother stood beside him, eyes wet, her hand resting on his arm. It wasn't about redemption for me. It was about truth finally standing where lies had ruled for years. The Rose Foundation's donations tripled after the statement. Suddenly, my office overflowed with letters from young mothers, stories of pain, resilience, and hope. Some wrote that my story gave them courage to keep going. Others just said thank you. Each word reminded me why I'd fought so hard. A few weeks later, I visited my parents' home for the first time in 15 years. The same house I'd been cast out of, now quieter, smaller somehow. My mother met me at the door. She hugged me before I could speak. For the first time, it wasn't for show. "I've missed you every single day," she whispered. I held her tightly. "Then let's not waste another one." My father stood in the living room, the campaign posters gone, replaced by framed photos of our family, including one of me and Lily. His voice was low when he said, "I don't deserve forgiveness, Emily." I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw not the senator, not the man who'd broken me, but someone finally facing himself. "Forgiveness isn't something you earn," I said gently. "It's something you grow into." He nodded, tears glinting at the corners of his eyes. "Your daughter, she must be proud." I smiled faintly.
She is.
"And so am I." Later that night, after leaving their house, I sat in my car and unclasped Grandma Rose's silver locket. The tiny note inside had grown faint with age, but I could still read it. "When the world stops believing in you, keep believing in yourself." I ran my thumb over the words, smiling through quiet tears. That locket had been with me through every version of myself, the scared girl, the struggling mother, the woman who rebuilt her name. And now it belonged to Lily. When I got home, I placed it gently in her hand as she slept. "Your turn to believe, sweetheart," I whispered. I stood by her doorway, the city lights spilling across her bed, and for the first time in years, I felt at peace. My parents had their campaign, their lessons, their reckoning. I had my freedom, and that I realized was the truest victory of all.